Hey, I'm Pastor Josh.
And I'm Jamin, and we are so excited that you've tuned in with us this morning for our worship service. We're believing God's going to do some great things this morning.
That's right. The message is about to start in just a couple moments, and we're so excited and believing that God is going to do wonderful things. So stick around for a few more moments, and we'll see you on the other side.
New spirits, and we're saying, I'm going to do better this year. Can I be better than I was last year? Can I do better with my money? Can I do better with my diet? Can I do better with my hopes and my vision for the year and the things? And I'm going to be better than last year. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be better than last year. This is the year in which I really come back. And if I want to be honest with you, my wife and I have had a lot of driving over the holiday months. And I'm listening to God, and I'm going, God, what do you have for me and my family? Yes, God, what do you have for the church? But what do you have for me and my family? And he has given me a word for my family. And the moment I got the word for my family, I felt as if I got the word for the church as well. And this is a year of rebuilding. If you're taking notes and you want to know what 2026 is, 2026 is a year of rebuilding. That is the word I have for my family and this church. It is a year of rebuilding. Can somebody say rebuilding? But the thing is, when you rebuild, you're hoping that things are better than how they used to be. And others, they walk into the new year already feeling like things won't be any better. I don't know about you, but I've had years like that. I've had years where I've gone, this was a hellacious year. This was horrible. I literally encountered hell all throughout the year. I battled demons. I fought problems. I fought insecurities. I fought disappointments. And you're beginning to go, 2020, whatever, will not be any better than what I just lived. And if we're honest, that's some of us this morning. And I have lived those years. So when I stand up here this morning and I smile before you and say 26 is a year of rebuilding, trust me, I've had years where I've said, it's going to be the same old, same old. It's going to be the same place and the same name. But God is showing me something different this year. It might be the same place, but it is a new name. You might have barely made it into this year. And you might lack the stamina to even think that things would be better. And if that's you this morning, I want to encourage you to begin to think about what God can do with this new year. I want you to think about what can God do, not what you can do. Because let's be honest, you can't do anything on your own volition. You need God every day. So it's not that you can get out and hustle and grind and make this year better. Ask what God can do this year. Think about it. This is a wonderful opportunity for those of you who haven't dreamed in a long time to begin to dream again, to begin to have vision again, because God is faithful. And it may not seem like it can get better, but the Bible tells us that God can restore 100-fold what the enemy takes from you. And so if the enemy has taken from you in 2025, as you're rebuilding in 26, lay claim to the promise that God can give it back to you 100-fold. And often we approach a new year with the mentality that we're going to do better than last time. I'll be more committed to my diet. I'll be more dedicated to my Bible reading. I'll save more money, whatever. But why do we do this? Do y'all know why we do this? Because I worked in the gym business for a while, and I sold a lot of memberships in December and January. My average check-in was $1,600 in the slow months. It was $2,800 in the fast months. That's 2,800 people walking through that gym every 24 hours. And you know what's interesting? Come into February, it was right back down to $1,600. Everybody was all ready to start. They were hot, they were strong, they were ready to go. This is the year that I get six packs. Thus saith the Lord. I'm going to be chiseled, trim, and stealthy. I'm going to be vascular to nobody. I'm going to start drinking protein. But why do we do this to ourselves? It's because we begin to look back on the year behind us and we realize that we didn't make the best deals possible. I didn't make the best deals that I possibly could. My dealings weren't great. I made some commitments that really didn't suit me well. And so we begin to decide that we'll make better deals and decisions this year. However, the truth of the matter is many of us will not follow up on these goals for a few reasons. And the main one is this, and it is this: we have all been tricked. Look at your neighbor and say, you've been tricked. You might instantly be thinking, silly rabbit, tricks are for kids. If you're like me and you grew up with those commercials, you've been tricked. We've all been tricked, and we've been tricked by either the enemy or ourselves. I'm here to tell you this morning, not every disaster in 2025 was of Satan himself. Some of those came from you. I hate to tell it to you like that, but it's true. If you want to look at who the most sabotaging person in your life is at times, go to the bathroom mirror. It's you. It's not that there's a devil under every bush, there's a demon behind every corner. It could simply be that you just made a bad deal. It could simply be that you tricked yourself. And this morning, as you're taking notes, I want to write to you about this. I want you to write this down: dumb deals. Dumb deals. Ask your neighbor, did you make a dumb deal? I love when family members tell me, I went out and I bought this car, I bought this thing, I signed up for this membership, this subscription, and I asked the question, what every man asks the question, well, what'd you pay for it? How many miles did it have on it? How many owners? And they tell you, well, I don't mean to ask too much, but what's your interest rate? And they tell you, and you're going, oh, that's awesome. In the back of your mind, you're going, you idiot. That's the dumbest deal I've ever heard. Look at this hunk of junk. It's barely going to get you up the road. That guy clearly sold you. If he's standing in the middle of the mall and he's not in a department store, he's swindling you. That will not make you look 15 years younger. He's swindling you. Yes, ladies, it will. Absolutely. In fact, you don't need to look 15 years younger. You already do. If you're a married man, use that line today. I promise your day will be better. But in the Bible, we see so many people make these dumb deals in their life. They make dumb deal after dumb deal after dumb deal, and we read these stories and we're like, are you stupid? Like, I would never do that. Yeah, you would. Yeah, you would. But none might be as dumb as the deal that was made between Jacob and Esau. Y'all know that story? So if you've got your Bible, flip with me. We're going to go to Genesis 25, 19 through 34. And it says this: now these are the records of the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham fathered Isaac, and Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel, the Aramean of Paddan-aram, the sister of Laban, the Aramean, to be his wife. Isaac prayed to the Lord on behalf of his wife because she was unable to have children, and the Lord answered him. And his wife Rebekah conceived, but the children, that is not the ultrasound appointment many of us want to have. You're not having just one, you're having two. The children struggled together within her, and she said, if it is so, why am I in this condition? So she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said to her, 2 nations are in your womb, and 2 peoples will be separated from your body. And one people will be stronger than the other, and the older will serve the younger. When her days leading to delivery were at the end, behold, there were twins in her womb. Can somebody say twins? There were twins in her womb. Now the first came out red all over like a hairy garment. Ew. I wish my child was born with more hair on her head. I see people who have children and they just come out with a full lock of hair, and I'm just instantly jealous. People are still asking, how's your son? I'm like, she's a girl. And they named him Esau. Afterward, his brother came out with his hand holding on to Esau's heel, so he was named Jacob. And Isaac was 60 years old when she gave birth to them. I want to pause right here and give you some context, but we'll go to the next slide. Jacob, for those of you who don't know, his name literally means deceiver, or, catch this, heel grabber. So when he was born, they came up with an original name. We'll name him Jacob. He was holding on to his brother's heel. But I want you to remember that as we move through this series over the next several weeks. His name is deceiver and heel grabber. Can somebody say deceiver? And so he came out and he was red like a hairy garment. We read this. Do I have another slide? There we go. And when the boys grew up, Esau became a skillful hunter, a man of the field, but Jacob was a civilized man, living in the tents. And now Isaac loved Esau because he had a taste for game, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Did y'all catch the dynamic already? Some of you are already thinking to your home dynamic and your childhood. In other words, Esau was his dad's favorite, and Jacob was a mama's boy. And when Jacob had cooked stew one day, Esau came in from the field, and he was exhausted. And Esau said to Jacob, please, let me have a mouthful of that red stuff there, for I am exhausted. And therefore, he was called Edom by name, which is red. But Jacob said, first, sell me your birthright. And Esau said, look, I'm about to die. What use is this then? What use is this birthright to me then? And Jacob said, first swear to me. So he swore an oath to him and sold his birthright to Jacob. And then Jacob gave Esau bread and lentil stew. For those of you who don't know what lentil stew is, it is bean stew. It ain't hobo stew. It ain't good chili. It is just bean stew. It ain't even Bush's baked beans. There ain't no golden retriever. There's no sugar in that pot. Nothing. It is just bean stew. Can somebody say bean stew? He said, swear an oath to me. And he sold his birthright to Jacob. And then Jacob gave Esau bread and lentil stew, and he ate and drank and got up and went on his way. And so Esau despised his birthright. Let's talk about some dumb deals this morning. That's a dumb deal. You have a birthright, something you didn't have to work for, and you sell it for some scabby beans. It's not even chili, as I said. You sell it for some scabby beans. I also want to say to you this morning before we get into dumb deals, and the Lord just put this on my heart, Isaac and Rebekah waited 20 years for their children. They waited 20 years for their children. I don't know how long you've been waiting, but if God can bless them in their old age and can restore to them what they thought they would never have, God can do for you this morning. But let's talk about dumb deals. Notice that each son was different from the other, even though they were twins. I have met twins in my life, and I've met sets of twins that they are the exact same. I look at you, and I don't know which one you are. I've met other twins. They are so totally opposite of one another, and they're like, that's my twin. I'm like, wait, really? Like y'all shared a womb? Like y'all are the same? Y'all are the same? I had some twins when I worked in the daycare at Gospel Tabernacle, and they were so similar. I would call one by one name, and he would say, no, I'm such and such. And thank God he came in one day. This is all part of the story. He came in one day with a cut above his eyelid, like right here. His brother pushed him into the end of the coffee table, and I knew from that day forward that was James. And I never had to be concerned which one was which. But in this situation, the twins are so different, even though they were so similar. Jacob was quiet and good in the kitchen, while Esau was a manly man. He was the kind of guy that most men, you'd shake your hand and slap him on the back. Jacob was the kind of guy that you didn't invite to the fishing trip because you didn't want to tie his tackle. Thank you, Billy, for tying my tackle that day we went fishing. I'd never gone saltwater fishing like that before, or intercoastal, so I needed some help. But we see that both Isaac and Jacob, that Isaac and Rebekah played a role in the division of their sons. As I mentioned, Jacob was a mama's boy, and Esau was favored by his father. So from the very beginning, these boys lived in division. From the beginning. Some of us, that's our story. We've lived our lives in a state of division because of our parents. Because our parents created a favoritism model in the household. And you didn't get what you needed from the other parent, and therefore there was division, and you saw the division between the parents. Don't think that the two boys didn't see that their parents had differing opinions on which child was best. They knew. They knew. It was obvious. Look at your neighbor and say they knew. And so this division led them all the way to this point where Jacob devised a plot to trick his brother. What's interesting here is we believe, per some tradition, that these men are somewhere between 40 and 60 years old when this happens. So this has been going on for a long time. These are not some teenagers who thought of a quick gag to get at each other. This stew, for lack of a better terms, has been brewing for a while. This was not the first bean stew that Jacob had made going, when he comes in, he's going to be hungry. It was predictable. He knew Esau would be out on these these hunting trips, and he would come back and be, I'm hungry, I'm hungry. So he waited and devised a plot, deceiver, to trick his brother. He knew that Esau would come starved, and this again wasn't the first time, so he knew what to predict, and he saw the opportunity. But can I tell you this morning, this is what happens in our lives. We are creatures of habits and patterns. We are creatures of habits and patterns. You have rhythms and routines every day, some of which you know, some of which you have no clue, but if you're married, your partner certainly knows them, and they're aggravating. They know your rhythms, and the enemy, catch this, also sees those patterns. He sees the patterns, and so what does he want to do? He's going to wait until you're famished and about to die, and you just need something to keep you going. What good is my birthright anyway if I'm going to die? Go ahead and give me what I need. And so the enemy does this, and he tricks us when you're desperate and needy. And then, like Esau, we make dumb deals with the enemy. Look at your neighbor and say, don't make dumb deals. We make dumb deals with the enemy because it seems like it's something we really want. It seems like it's something we really need. What good is my birthright if I'm going to die? But catch this, the trick of the enemy is to get you to sell yourself short. You have a birthright and you're selling it for beans. Beans for birthright. And that's what the enemy does. He says, I'm going to get you to think that you're not enough. I'm going to get you to think that this thing that you have isn't that valuable. This is what you need. Because all he's after is to get you to sell yourself short. Esau's birthright was far more valuable than the bean stew. Far more valuable. This birthright was land, finances, material things. He could have bought 100 bean stews or more with his birthright. But because he was desperate, and he allowed himself to get in a position where he was needy, the trick of his brother, the deception of his brother was enticing enough for him to sell himself short on what he really had. Your calling, your dreams, your family, your life, you fill in the blank, is far more valuable. Hear me this morning, Wilmington First, as we come into 2026. Your calling, your family, your dreams, your vision is far more valuable than the bean stew of the enemy. If I can encourage you to do anything this morning, it is to hold on to what God is giving you and say, I'm not selling myself short. I'm not going to take a dumb deal and sign myself up for something that'll have me making payments for the rest of my life. Because spiritually, that's what the enemy wants us to do. He wants us to sign up for a 7-year loan with the highest rate of interest we possibly can, knowing that we'll pay 3 times the value of the thing that we were trying to buy in the first place. Do not sell yourself short. Somebody say, I'm not doing it. Do not sell yourself short. Your calling, your dreams, your life, and family are far more valuable than the bean stew of the enemy. But I want you to ask this question. If the dumb deal comes your way, and it will, you're going to be coming in one day from work, you're going to be on your phone, you're going to go to work, somebody, somewhere is going to offer you the dumb deal. There will be a Jacob in your life this year, and they're going to offer you a dumb deal. And I need you to do something for me. Take notes if you're writing this down. I need you to ask yourself this: what am I giving up for this? The deal is here. It's enticing. What am I giving up for this? And you know, we think this when we sign up for an auto loan, don't we? When we sign up for a mortgage, we go, okay, what's it going to cost me? Did you know the average car payment in America is $720 a month? That ain't my car payment, folks. But that means that there are people who are making deals well above that. My father-in-law was a car salesman. He said it was not uncommon for him to see people with a $1,500 a month car payment. Car payment. That is a depreciating asset, folks. But what am I giving up for this? I'm giving up $1,500 a month. What am I giving up for this? Oh, because you're not just giving up $1,500 a month in the payment, you've also got to pay insurance. And you know North Carolina's going to say, put some right here too, please. So what am I giving up for this? Oh, you're giving up financial freedom. You're giving up the ability to maybe take your family to eat. You're giving up the ability to live a little bit more comfortable. Now, if you can afford it, God bless you. No shame in the game. Enjoy your $1,500 a month. Even if I could, that wouldn't be me. But what am I giving up for this? Imagine that. Selling what is yours for a bowl of bean soup. What am I giving up for this? And still, many of us, we say, I would never do this, but we do. We don't think, what am I giving up for this? We just say, I'll sell it because what good is it to me if I die? If I don't have this? I've got to have this now. So I'm going to sell my birthright for bean stew. I'm going to sell my peace for social media glory. I'm going to sell myself short for instant pleasures to fulfill temporary needs. Instant gratification. I don't know if y'all have ever noticed this, but the Hungry Man microwavable meals are not near as good as the crock pot meal. Have y'all noticed that? I haven't had anything in the microwave that is better than home cooking. It's close enough. It's close enough, but it ain't the same, is it? Because we know that we can't wait for the crock pot. And that's why the freezer aisle is massive. And you've got all these different options, all these different meals, and they're all 2,000 plus calories, and we wonder why our cholesterol's bad. And so what we do is we see that Esau settled for a microwave blessing when a crock pot blessing was coming. But because he settled, he lost what was his by birthright. His whole life, that blessing of his birthright had been percolating and brewing and growing and accumulating and bearing interest. But because of a temporary need, he said, I'll settle for the drive-through. I'll settle for it. I'll just take what I can get quickly and for cheap. And he sold himself short. Esau, being the firstborn, I mentioned this, was entitled to an inheritance of land and other various properties. And Jacob knew this. Mind you, they're between 40 and 60 years old. He'd been plotting on that birthright for a while. This was not the first time this idea had come into his mind. He had been plotting on it for a while. And Jacob, because he was crafty, he knew that he could trick his brother into giving him the birthright because he was hungry. Turn and look at your neighbor and say this: I'm sorry for what I said when I was hungry. Some of us, we make decisions in life because we're hangry. We make decisions in life because we're hungry, and we say, I'll just take it. I just give it to me. It doesn't matter. When in reality, you just need a Snickers. When in reality, you just need to slow down and ask yourself this question: what am I giving up for this? This year, I want to ask you to do this as well. If you're taking notes, write this down. I want you to ask this question: where am I selling myself short? Where am I selling myself short? Because let me tell you, I talk to Christians often, and I talk to non-Christians often. I talk to people all the time, believe it or not. I talk all the time. All the time. It's what I do. And the common theme that I find when I talk to people is that they often sell themselves short. I had a phone call last night. Somebody's in crisis. This thing has happened, and they can't do this business opportunity that was going to change the family landscape forever because of one person. Because I don't know how to do this thing that person knows. And I said, so you can't learn? Like you don't have Google? You don't have a library? Oh, you don't have a God that owns the cattle on 1,000 hills that can replace that person with another person? I say that this morning because we sell ourselves short. We sell ourselves short and say, I won't ever amount to nothing because of this. I won't ever go far because my brother was dad's favorite. So the only way that I can get what I need is to scheme and to trick and deceive. I'm going to sell myself short and sign up for things that I don't really need. I want you to ask this morning, where am I giving up what is mine by birth? As a child of the King, you are entitled to many things that we often fall for the tricks of life and give up. Again, it's like we're on the commercial for Trix yogurt. Silly rabbit tricks are for kids. But we can't say silly rabbit tricks are for kids when we willingly are giving them the bowl. We're willingly saying, here you go. You have what's mine. There you go. I'll just so willingly give it up and wish that I hadn't later. And so Esau, what does it say? Despised his birthright. Many of us, we have blessings in our life that we despise because we've given them up. You've given this blessing to the enemy, and now you despise the very thing that God gave you. That's how families crumble. That's how divorce happens. That's how parents and children drift and separate. Because God gave you this family, He gave you this child, and because you offered it up to somebody, something, somewhere else, you begin to despise the blessing that God gave you, and you sell yourself short. I want to talk to you this morning about despising birthrights. If you're taking notes, write that down. One of the hardest parts about heading into a new year after having a bad year is despising your birthright. How could this new year be better? Last year was horrible. It was hell on earth. It was chaos. The enemy took so much. I lost so much. I made some dumb decisions. I made some dumb deals. And so you're entering into this new year, this birthright from God to do better, and you're already despising it. It's the hardest part about entering into a new year. You might have sold yourself short. You might have been attacked by the enemy. Your family might have suffered. But because of that, you begin to despise your birthright. And we begin to think that things can't change, and I am in the same place today that I was a year ago or even longer. The same thing happened to Esau. He sold his birthright and began to despise it. Don't think that year after year, Esau didn't think about the day that he sold his birthright for the bean stew. Don't think that that didn't come back into his memory, into the forefront of his mind. But God has given us a new year and a fresh opportunity, but we sit in the tension with that blessing because we know what happened with the last one. That's why when God says, I want to give you something new, we're so scared to do anything with it because you know what happened to the last one. Let's take it back. Let's look a little further, a little previous in Scripture. We have Joseph. Joseph is sold into slavery, and what happens? Sorry, not behind, further ahead. Joseph is sold into slavery, and what happens? His brothers tell their father, oh, he's dead. His father has another son named Benjamin, and he protects him like a child in bubble wrap because he remembers what happened to the other one, the one that died, so to speak. That's what we do with our blessing. We say, I lost Joseph, I'll protect Benjamin. And so we begin to despise the birthright. And some of you may be like Esau. You might have sold yourself short, and now you despise the very thing you gave up. But if I'm to be honest with you, there are things in my own life that I've given up that years later I look back on and I despise myself for doing those things. I am not a polished pastor. I was not perfect. I say was. I'm still not perfect. I've got my own past. I've got my own story. I've got my own testimonies. And some of us, we might be like Esau and we fell for the trick of the person who manipulated us. It might not be the devil. It might be a person. A person might have manipulated you. You might have fell for the trick and you might have fallen for the dumb deal of the family member who decided to deceive you. You might have fallen for the smooth talk of a boyfriend or a girlfriend who told us that they loved us like no other. You might have fallen for the lies of an enemy who knew what to say about your weakness because they knew your patterns. They knew you'd come in from the field, they knew you'd be hungry, and they were waiting on you. You might be despising your birthright, but if there's anything I can tell you this morning, it's this: there is deliverance. There's dumb deals, there's despising birthrights, but there is deliverance. We've not seen the end of this story because when we finished our scripture reading, we stopped there and it seems as if all is hopeless. Not only did Esau sell his birthright, but catch this, his blessing from his father would eventually be stolen by the same brother. And that wasn't a deal that he made. One deal was enough. Okay. Fool me once, shame on me, right? Or fool me twice, shame on me. It is what it is. I made that decision. I made that deal. But for his brother to come back years later and to steal from him again, and he wasn't even a part of the deal, that's another story. And many of us were living that. We say, it's okay, I was deceived by a family member. Okay, I was deceived by the enemy. Okay, I was robbed. Okay, I was manipulated. But it's another thing when the enemy comes back and just takes something from you and you didn't even get to make the dumb deal. I can live with making a dumb deal because at least I was there to make the deal. I can go, you idiot. I can look in the mirror and say, what were you thinking? Bean stew? You had 50 acres, bean stew. You had an inheritance, bean stew. But when they take your blessing and you're not there to even stop it, that's a whole other level of insult, isn't it? That's the salt on the wound. And so we're at this point in our story and it seems like all hope is lost and what was taken is gone forever. And this might be some of the things in our lives that are physically, they might be gone forever. We may not have given up our birthright. We may have given up our birthright. You might have lost some stuff. But that doesn't mean that God can't return it to you 100-fold. That doesn't mean that God can't bring it back, pressed down, shaken, and overflowing. That doesn't mean that it is the end, because there is deliverance and redemption. See, this is where we're different from Esau. I'm going to tune you in this morning real quick. This is where we're different from Esau. Esau didn't have Jesus. Esau didn't have Jesus interceding for him at the right hand of his father. Esau's before Jesus. There's sacrificial law here. There's things they got to follow. Esau didn't have this opportunity to approach the throne room of God and say, God, I made some dumb deals. I despise this birthright, but I'm asking you, Lord, can you deliver me from the hands of my enemy? Can you, Lord, deliver me, redeem what was taken from me? Can you bring back peace that was stolen from my life? Can you bring back the finances that I lost in that investment? Can you bring back the family member? God, can you bring back the relationship? Because you have Jesus. Jesus came and died on the cross so that you might inherit not just a birthright, catch this, but inherit eternal kingdom of heaven. What he gives you does not rust. It is not eaten by moths. It doesn't corrupt. It doesn't corrode. He shares his birthright with you. Catch this. He knows you already sold your birthright. Jesus says, I know you sold your birthright. I call you a what, Pastor Paul? Co-heir. I call you a co-heir. You can share what's mine. Oh, you lost your house? Guess what? You can come stay in mine. Oh, what does Jesus say? I go before you to my Father's house to prepare a place of many rooms, of many mansions. He's got something for you. You don't have to be held down by what others have done to you, what you've done yourself. Imagine the Son of God is now looking at you this morning. He says, what's mine is yours. Don't just take a little, have it all. You can have whatever you want. I'm not in short supply. No matter how many times we fall on our birthright from God is still there. Your Father isn't waiting for you to do the right thing to give you an inheritance. If you've accepted Christ, that inheritance is there. You might have messed up, the inheritance is still there. Somebody might have come in and taken something from you. Guess what? The inheritance is still there. Oh, the best part, unlike Esau, the blessing from Jesus on your life, your brother can't deceive God over. Nobody can come in and take the blessing that God has for you. That blessing is there. If his hand is upon you, nobody can dress up like you and say, oh, I'm Esau. Go ahead and give me what's mine. They can't do it because God knows you. You don't have to fall for the tricks of the enemy this year if you find that your blessing has been stolen like Esau. Jesus, unlike Isaac, has another blessing for you. When Esau went to his father and he said, Dad, that wasn't me. He said, son, I don't have anything else for you. Y'all remember that? I don't have anything else for you. But God says, don't worry. I've got another one for you. And I've got another. And here's another. Oh, and you lost that, here's another. He's here and willing to deliver you, to bless you. He's ready to redeem what the enemy stole from you. Can we stand this morning? He's here to deliver and to redeem what the enemy stole from you. He is ready to restore and rebuild what was taken from you. In moments of weakness where you fell for the trick of the enemy and you made a dumb deal, he's ready to redeem it. He's ready to help you to not despise your birthright, but to live and walk in what was already yours from the foundation of the earth. He is ready to deliver you from the deceiver. I want to ask you to do something for me this morning. Would you close your eyes and bow your heads with me? I'll open the altar. If you want to come and do business before God, you're welcome to, but I'm not going to belabor this.
Thank you so much for tuning in with us this morning. If you're new here, check out our website at wilmingtonfirst.org to fill out a Connect card to learn more about what God is doing here at Wilmington First. We'll see you next week.